new statistics prove the HPV vaccine is actually working. If you got the HPV vaccine when you were younger, here's some encouraging news. New research from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, finds that HPV rates for teen girls and women in their early 20s have dropped dramatically since 2009. So why is this a big deal? HPV, which can lead to cervical cancer, is the most common sexually transmitted disease. The CDC reports that 79 million Americans currently have it, with 14 million new cases expected each year. If you're sexually active, chances are you'll come across the virus at some point, which is where the vaccine, a series of 3 shots, comes in. It's recommended for girls ages 9 to 26 and boys ages 9 to 15. For the study, published in the March issue of the journal Pediatrics, researchers from the CDC collected samples from 2,587 females ages 14 to 34 between 2003 and 2006, before the vaccine came out, and 2,061 females in that age range from 2009 to 2012, when the vaccine became popular, comparing the data. Among the teen girls, the rates of the 4 strains of HPV that the vaccine covers, 6, 11, 16, and 18, dropped from 11.5% to 4.3%. For women ages 20 to 24, the rates of the 4 strains covered by the vaccine fell from 18.5% to 12.1%. More specifically, the rates of strains 16 and 18, which are responsible for 70% of cervical cancers, dropped in both age groups, down from 7% to 2.8% for teen girls and from 15.2% to 10.5% for women in their early 20s. Strains 6 and 11 cause genital warts, BTW. There was no change, however, in the rate of HPV infection for women 25 and up. According to the CDC, HPV is most common in people in their late teens and early 20s, so it makes sense that you'd see the drop at a younger age. The study authors note that while research already existed about the vaccine's effectiveness at preventing cases of HPV in teen girls, this study extends their findings to women in their early 20s. Also worth pointing out, the fall in HPV rates didn't have a thing to do with sexual behavior, say the researchers. In fact, the women in their early 20s actually reported having more sex from 2009 to 2012 than the women that age reported in 2003 to 2006. If they hadn't been vaccinated, they would have been at an increased risk for getting the virus, since, as we know, it's super common. The study authors did note a few limitations on their research, writing that in the U.S., coverage widely varies by state, and sometimes people don't actually get the full 3 doses they need of the vaccine, which is something they weren't able to account for. Still, it's great news to see more data supporting the vaccine's efficacy. HPV vaccination rates are pretty low in the U.S., only 40% of girls and 20% of boys ages 13 to 17 are vaccinated, so hopefully this will encourage more parents and young people to consider it as an option.